I'd never met Carl LaGreco before the Claim Your Power Now event, but my good friend Laurel Langmeyer told me I'd be very impressed that he was an excellent teacher of wealth building and real estate techniques that aren't used by a lot of people because a lot of people don't know what Carl LaGreco knows. In a very short period of time, he's a very young man, he's become very wealthy, and he's also become a very great teacher. You're going to see how our audience responded to the great techniques he was teaching, and you're going to learn a lot from Carl LaGreco.
How many of you want more money in your life? Yes or no? Awesome. We're going to play a little game. Please stand up. The best way to play this game is just to be honest with yourself. And Bob Proctor is one of my mentors. He's been Laurel Langmeyer's mentor for 15 years. And we were having a conversation one day, and he said something that was just brilliant. He said, you should never really care what people think of you. I mean, you wouldn't care if you knew how little people thought at all. He goes, it's none of your business what anybody else thinks of you. And he said that this morning when he was talking with Jim Rome. He goes, I never focus on myself, I focus on other people. That's what makes him successful. And I was delighted to hear that one of the things businesses Jim Rome wanted to do was real estate. So I'm going to talk to you a lot about real estate today as part of the Millionaire Maker Plan. So, if you're here with somebody, a business partner, or you're in a relationship, you can play together. If one of you sits down, both of you sit down, okay? So if you've had any negative conversations or thoughts in the last 24 hours, go ahead and have a seat. Okay. This is pretty typical. All right, let the conversations go. All right. We're going to fix that. Creating more money and having more money can change your conversations, okay? So, we got just a little less than half the room left. That's all right. So, what I'm teaching you is a sequence, and I'm going to come back and teach each part of this. And I'm going to show you exactly what it means. But right now, for those of you who don't have what we call a Financial Freedom Day goal, meaning you don't have the specific goal and date of when you will have total financial freedom, go ahead and have a seat. Okay, we're going to change that too, because right now your mind's not focused on exactly where you want it to go. Make sense? We'll change that. Okay. All right, so we got a dozen people left. All right, so that's two pieces of the sequence. This might be a shorter game than I anticipated, but that's all right. We're going to change that. So another part of the millionaire sequence is what we call a financial baseline. That means you know right now what your net worth is, what your starting point is, and you can turn it over within a few $100s. If you can't do that, go ahead and have a seat. Okay, good. Excellent. This morning we talked about the creation of money. We're going to talk about building the foundation that's going to sustain your wealth. And one of the other things that we talk about, and we're going to talk about today, is what we call financial organization, meaning you have profit and loss statements that you look at on a monthly basis, a balance sheet. You know how much income and expenses and assets and liabilities you have. If you don't have that information, go ahead and have a seat. Okay. The next thing we talk about is asset allocation. In our model, we teach you to never invest in assets that don't start with a 12% return. All of our investments start with a minimum of 12% return. If you have any assets that are under that 12% return, go ahead and have a seat. Okay? I'm going to show you a different strategy to change that, okay? All right, one of the other things we talk about is a wealth account. A wealth account is different than a savings account. Do you know what we call a savings account in our model? Delayed spending. It's delayed spending, okay? A wealth account is something where you put your money strategically that earns you 3 to 5%, and you know what investment you want to put that money into. So you're not going to tap in it. If you have a wealth account that earns 3 to 5%, great. If you don't, have a seat. Okay, good. The other thing we talk about is consumer debt. We're the only company that never teaches people to pay off their debt. Why? If you pay off your debt, what are you left with? Yes, nothing. You still don't have money that's creating more money so that you have choices to do whatever you want in your life. So we don't teach you to pay off your debt. If you want to pay off your debt, go buy a house. Let the house pay for it. I know we do couples coaching all the time, and in relationships, there's one person's the hoarder, the other person's the spender, right? How's that for a conflict? And in this particular case, the husband said, my wife's always spending money. Can you fix that? I said, absolutely not. She's got a skill set. She needs to start investing in assets and use the money from those assets to go buy all the clothes she wants. Now everybody wins, right? Okay. The other part is cash machine. So for those of you still up, a cash machine is a business. You have an entity. If you're a sole proprietor, we call that a hobby, not a business. So if you have a sole proprietorship, go ahead and have a seat. And a part of that entity structure is taxes. I don't think either one of you paid taxes online. No? No? Thank goodness. I saw USA Today earlier this year was praising people because they said more people in America file taxes online than ever before. And I thought, my goodness, what are people doing? Who puts up the information on the website for you to fill it out? The IRS. Do you think they give you all the deductions? No. Okay. A couple other pieces in the Millionaire Plan is team. Are either one of you the Lone Ranger? What I mean is a team is you have a lawyer, you have a CPA, you have a bookkeeper. You have employees working for you. You have those. Excellent. Give these people a hand. Okay, good. Thanks. You can go ahead and sit down. So what I just did was I took you through the millionaire sequence. There's 12 steps to it. There's 6 that you're absolutely going to do, and there's 6 you're going to learn about today that are going to come in a specific sequence, a specific order. Okay? I'm going to teach you these practical steps, and you're going to know exactly what you need to do at the end of today's session in order to be a millionaire in 3 to 5 years. This is specifically how we make millionaires in 3 to 5 years. And what I want to start with is commitment. You've heard this word multiple times in the last day and a half. True? You're going to hear it a lot more before it's over. But when we talk about commitment, we talk about making a decision that is so clear that you pull in all the possibilities into existence, and now they're available for you. Earlier this morning, I worked with about a dozen people in helping them build a cash machine, helping them find out what business they could get into so they could transition out of their W-2 job, or at least have the choice to. And almost all of them knew what their cash machine was, but they either didn't trust it or they didn't decide that's what it will be. And a lot of them made decisions. They're like, I'll start my cash machine today. I'll start it next Tuesday. Great. Once they make that decision, it's now available. The resources, the team, the possibilities, the money, it's now available where it wasn't before. See, commitment is the difference between living financial security or financial freedom. In freedom, what we're talking about is having choices. Choices that you don't have by living the secure life. People always talk about pay off your debt, fill up your 401ks, and try and work as long as you can. 40, 50 years, you can be a millionaire, absolutely. Why? Why wait that long? Like committed people don't wait. They give themselves permission, and they go. Like earlier this morning, we talked about, when did all of you learn how to be an entrepreneur? We don't learn this in school, do we? Like, see, in our model, we think in first grade, you should learn how to do profit and loss and balance sheets. Second grade, you should start learning about taxes. Third grade, entities. Fourth grade, you should build a cash machine. Like, we're not doing our children justice by telling them, well, we just don't have enough money, or we can't do that because we don't have money. By the 6th grade, they should start allocating their assets. 7th grade, they should hire people. In 8th grade, they can move out. So we never really learned how to be an entrepreneur. And part of being a millionaire is being an entrepreneur. It's having that creativity to go anywhere in the world and make money. And when you have financial freedom, you know you can go anywhere in this world and create money and make money, and that makes you free. Do you get that? Do you want that? Okay, and the rest of you? All right. That's commitment. I'm going to check back with you later and challenge you to make a commitment. Something that's going to move you exactly towards what you want in your life. So wealth builders are entrepreneurs. I'm going to share a lot of stories of clients that have come through our programs and the results of those, but more importantly, I want to point out what specifically they did because it fits an entire pattern of the secrets we're going to discuss. Okay? This is what we call the wealth cycles. If you notice, we're one of the only companies that puts income over assets. Most of the time you see a profit and loss statement, it's income over expenses, okay? And assets over liability. You subtract the difference, you get your net income or your net worth, okay? We really don't care about your expenses and your liabilities, okay? Like consumer debt, mortgages, car loans, business debt, we can always write that off. We won't consider that consumer debt. We'll find another way to pay for it instead of you having to work incredibly hard to do it. But here's the challenge. Most people are living in the lifestyle cycle. What does that mean? They make money, they spend it on not appreciating assets. Sometimes they get too many houses, they get the car, they save for college kids' tuition, they spend money on miscellaneous things. Because see, if you don't have a millionaire plan, then you're making decisions emotionally. And that's very risky. So we're going to show you exactly what decisions you should make and can make when you plan it and sequence it right. But most people are living in the lifestyle cycle. They're just catching up. It's called the rat race. But we want to shift this. And how we get out of this, which I'm going to show you, is we want to get into the wealth cycle. Now what happens is, if you look at the arrows going down and up, income can be from a W-2 job or a cash machine or a business that you're working. The cash flow from that, we take right into assets. We invest it, minimum 12% return. And that creates more cash flow, and now we have more income. And with that income, we turn it around and invest it again. And now we're in this wealth cycle of income over assets. Cash flow, buying more investments, investments creating more cash flow, and now we have more money. Okay? People who pay off their debt, or if you're driven by security, or the not enough thing, it's because you haven't learned how to create money yet. When you learn how to create money, your decision-making abilities and your risk tolerance and investment completely changes. Like you'd easily invest $40,000, $50,000 a month in investments if you knew you could replace that money within 30, 45 days. True? Yeah, absolutely. So the key in any wealth-building endeavor is to make more money. But that doesn't mean you have to do it all. You have to have team. That's one of the things that makes us incredibly successful. Team is the bottom line way. The community is how we make millionaires so fast at 3 to 5 years. We have a woman who's our master coach. Her name is Socorro. She did it in 8 months. She was our fastest millionaire up to last month. And we have people come in who are so financially disorganized, they'll call us up and go, I just realized I'm a millionaire. And I didn't know it because my organization is a mess. We get that at least once a month. That's how disorganized. So you can't accelerate and grow if you don't have a strong foundation or baseline. Does that make sense? Okay. Got to get into the wealth cycle. So let's take a look at a strategy, a real estate strategy. And this is something that we actually did with somebody who's a pilot from United Airlines. Okay? He had $2 million in his pension making, it was like 2.5%, 3% a year. Wasn't enough money for him. Okay? So what we did is we took a net worth of $1.8 million and we took $800,000 of that and put it down on real estate. That gave us $4 million worth of real estate. And then we diversified the rest of that $1 million into gas and oil, promissory notes, some businesses, some land to create $120,000 passive income. See, if you look at this, you have what's called depreciation in real estate. And the amount of money that he's making, the $120,000, is the same amount he gets to depreciate, which is $120,000 from his real estate, so now he has no taxes. Good or good? Absolutely. You keep more money at home. So we always play the tax rules by the law, but we use them to our advantage, always. So this is one strategy. Now you may be thinking, well, what if I don't have $1.8 million? Well, later on today, I'm going to take a live person out of the audience and do a financial makeover. And I'm going to show you how quickly we can get somebody into cash flow, regardless of how much money you have or how much money you don't have. So you have to be able to create it. That's what makes Laurel and her wealth building systems and her entire company so much different, is she can literally take any novice or experienced person and get them into millionaire status in 3 to 5 years, as long as they follow through, just by sequencing it right and by being able to create money. Okay, here's the sequence. We have to do the right thing at the absolute right time. How do you know that? Well, you have to be organized. You have to be organized, and you have to have a plan, and that plan decides which direction you should go. I talk to people all the time, and they say, well, I've got $80,000. What should I do with it? I said, well, that depends on a lot of factors. You can't just make stuff up. You have to plan it out. Let the plan decide which direction you're going to go. He goes, but I like flipping properties. I said, that's great, but you've got more expenses than income. You're in the hole. You've got lots of debt. You need to get into cash flow. So you can flip all you want. He goes, yeah, I want to flip. And I said, great, but that may not be what the plan's asking for. Follow the plan. It works. So these are the 12 building blocks. We have 6 that you're always going to do. We have the gap analysis, which we're going to show you in a second. The financial baseline, which we went through in the game. We also have the Freedom Day goal, which we talked about earlier in that game, is what's the day and the amount of money that's going to create financial freedom for you. So as it comes up, as you're listening, just jot it down. It may change. You may think, well, this isn't realistic. Well, compared to what? You may think it's not possible. Well, compared to what? That's what you have to ask yourself. It is absolutely possible. However, I've met people who were $180,000 in debt and they wanted $10 million in a year. Okay? Probably not going to happen. Could happen over 10 years, but not in one. Now, there's 6 more to this sequence. We have assets. The 2 foundational keys in which millionaires are made is through asset allocation and cash machine. As I said earlier, assets should always start at 12%. 12 on up to 50% returns on your investment. We've had people come into the program. In fact, we had an airline pilot who was a neighbor, and after 9/11, he lost just over $2 million in his pension. Okay? And so that's why we urge people to get their own cash machine, so you lead and you control your own life, not somebody else. So we took his last $1 million, and we were able to get him about a 24% return. So now he's earning $240,000 a year. He's making more now than he was as a pilot, just by diversifying it. Now, see, this is what's interesting. Most people will go to a financial advisor who's not a millionaire. They give up complete control, and he or she goes invest the money. And you may think, well, I'm getting a 15% return. I invested in Yahoo. Yes, but did Yahoo call you and ask you your Freedom Day goal? Yes? No. You have no control over what happens in the market. When we invest, we're able to call up the owner of every single investment and have a conversation with them. We can see everything, all of their books. It's an open book. That's how we play the game. So we have a lot more control, and we know what's going to go on. So it's direct asset allocation, not indirect, where we don't know and don't have much control. So assets. The second piece is entities. Dr. O'Neill, who's actually a mutual client of Bob Proctor and Laurel, he's a dentist. He was a sole proprietor, paying $126,000 in taxes. Okay? That money he could have used to invest for the entire year. So you have to have entity structure for asset protection, but also taxes. You see, when you have an entity, your tax doesn't have a range to it. It doesn't have a starting point. As a sole proprietor, you start at 33%. And I talk to so many CPAs or so many clients who say, well, my CPA said that, I don't have to get an entity. I'm fine as a sole proprietor. And I said, well, if you're a sole proprietor and your CPA thinks that, then you're not making enough money. If you're not paying taxes as a sole proprietor, you're not making enough money. See, as a sole proprietor, all you have is about 27 tax write-offs. As a corporation, you have up to 350, 375. It's a completely different game. That's how the wealthy are able to keep more money at home. So we focus on assets. Cash machine, which we're going to go through. Cash machine is a business that you either start or you buy. One of the things that we do right now in our community is we buy laundromats. I own 3 laundromats. They create lots of cash flow, and they take very little of my time. Okay? I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that because I do have some partners in some laundromats. 2 out of the 3 I've never used my own money to buy. And they're averaging anywhere between $4,000 and $8,000 a month net cash flow. Is that good? So forecasting, taxes, wealth account, and debt management. These are all plans that you need to create if you have those. But see, what determines your sequence here is where you currently are. Your financial baseline determines your sequence. So those middle 6, for some of you, asset allocation may come first. See, Laurel has a phrase called, you need to get off your lazy assets and get them moving. Usually assets and cash machines are the two most important things we have to focus on. The answer is always creating more money and always putting it in a place that's going to get you a better return. That's the wealth cycle. That's where you have freedom. So this is the gap analysis. This is what we do a financial makeover on. And later on, I'm going to bring somebody up on the board, and we're going to go through this in detail so you can actually see what it looks like when we put somebody on paper and start making the money. So you could earn $1 million. Anybody out there not believe that? Okay, one person, thank you for your honesty. Earlier, I was sharing with people that I asked people if you want to be a millionaire, and I asked this one lady, and I said, do you want to be a millionaire? She goes, yes. You watching? She said yes. I said, interesting. How you're consciously moving forward, but your subconscious is going completely opposite direction. Okay, that doesn't work. So if you can earn $1 million, let's break that down. What is that a month? $83,000. A week is $20,000, and per day is $4,166. If you were just to add $100,000 to whatever you're currently making, that's just an extra $416 a day. That's all it is. $416 a day will create you an extra $100,000. So what we'll do is we find a lot of stay-at-home moms or teachers. We love teachers because they can very easily create tutoring companies using their skill sets. A teacher can go out and hire college students, create a tutoring company, be making an extra couple hundred, $400 a day, and now the teacher will be making an extra $100,000 a year. And she doesn't have to use her own time. That makes sense? Okay? We have, how many of you read the book, by the way? Millionaire Maker book? Okay, good. Remember the story of the dog walker? This woman wanted to work outside, and she quit her W-2 job, couldn't figure it out, and finally we got her a dog walking business. She makes $100,000 a year walking dogs. Okay? My dog walks itself. Really. So you can create a business using your skill sets. All you have to think of is, do I have skill sets that can earn me $100 an hour? Earn me $150 or $200 an hour. If you have those skill sets, then 2 hours a day is going to make you an extra $100,000 a year. And it can happen that quickly. Okay. Cash machine. How many of you in this room know that you need a cash machine? Wow. Okay. This is going to be for you. This is crucial. I'll tell you later on how I started my first cash machine, but how we start them is you want to get clear on your skill sets. How you make money is using your skill sets. And we'll find a lot of people in their own cash machine is they'll be spending time in their business outside their own skill sets instead of hiring it out. If you don't have a business, you got to get clear on your skill sets. You've got to know what you can do with the skill sets you have. Okay, so skill sets, sales, marketing, leadership, and finance. Those are the top 4 skill sets of a cash machine. Write those down. Sales, marketing, accounting, or finance, and leadership. So what you do is you list out your best top skill sets. And you start to associate to, well, what businesses can I either buy if I have assets or create if I don't? Once you're able to do that, what you want to start looking at is, well, what other models or other people are out there doing what I'm doing so I can accelerate my result? In one of our programs that we did a few weeks ago in Las Vegas called the Wealth Building Blitz, we took somebody out of the audience because everything that we do is live and in real time. And in about 97 minutes, we built him an entire coaching company. Okay? Real time, right in front of the group. And this guy had been a teacher. And we said, well, you need to become a coach. Teachers don't make enough money. And he said, I want to coach actors. So we got him clear on his target market. We said, great. So we started off with his skill sets. We found him a business. We used a model company to accelerate his results. He wanted to do teleclasses and coaching, private one-on-one coaching, and he wanted to do seminars. So we built him an entire marketing model where he's earning $399 per person on a teleconference call on up to $12,000 for one-on-one coaching. This is a guy that's never coached before, but he's got the perfect skill sets and the experience to work with actors. That's his passion. That's what he wanted to do. And then we built him what's called a revenue model. We showed him how to forecast out the entire year what he needs to make. And then we built him a marketing plan, and we branded him in about 97 minutes. He started the business the following Tuesday. He's got his first client. Okay? A lot of you in this room, or in the breakfast room this morning, saw how quickly you can get a cash machine. Did you not? Yeah. It doesn't take 3 months, 6 months, or a year. Like, the purpose of a cash machine is that you get up and running and making money within 24 hours. Sometimes it's going to take longer, yes, but that's the goal. What are we going to do with that money from the cash machine? Yeah, we're going to turn around and invest it. Absolutely, we're going to spend it. Then we start looking for the corporate structure and tax strategy. See, here's the thing. When you're incorporated, you have a totally different game to play. Cash machines give you access to what the wealthy do. Without a business structure, you can't play the same game the wealthy are playing. And I'm going to share more about that because we're going to get to taxes here in a minute. So that's cash machine. $400 solution. By the way, how many of you still clean your own home? Okay, show of hands. A little higher. Okay, good. You got to stop that. Millionaires don't clean their own home. Okay? Hire somebody else. It's only $50. Okay? How much do you get paid to clean your own house? Right. Very little. 0. Exactly. So you could be earning money during that time. It doesn't take that much money. $10 an hour for 10 weeks, $400 a month. What can you do with an extra 40 hours of your time per month? So you've heard that time is money and money is time. You've heard that? Okay. Yes? Have you heard that before? Okay, awesome. So, and it's absolutely true. But you have to spend time doing activities that are revenue producing in your cash machine. That's the bottom line. So answer that question, what can you do with 40 hours of your time per month? If you start adding team to your life to do the things that you don't want to do or do the things that you're not good at. I was talking to somebody earlier who was telling me about her business, and one of the things she said was, she goes, I'm doing everything. I said, well, now you've become your own limitation of your own cash machine. You've got to hire a team. You can't do it all. And she's spending more time doing the things that she's not really good at because those usually take longer. Like, millionaires don't focus on their weaknesses. They hire their weaknesses. And they focus on their strengths and they make those stronger. That's the model that you want to work in. Like, I'll never be an accountant. I know how to add, I know how to multiply, and that's it. I have an accountant. He's a genius. He loves doing that. That's his passion. I'll never be an accountant. It's not in my blood. It's not in my genes. It's not what I'm here to do. So I'm not going to focus on it. But I know enough about it to lead my team. And that's a huge piece. You guys see how cash machines work? That's just the beginning of it, getting people clear, getting to make a decision to see what you can really do. Then the how-tos come into play. It's like we don't go figure it out. When we act, then we think. If you look at the cover of the book, Laurel says we teach people to act, think, and make money the way the wealthy do. You've got to act first. Thinking comes later. There's always a way to do things. But you'll never know that way unless you're in the game playing it, because you don't need it until then. Make sense? Yes? Okay, good. Thank you. All right, incorporate to grow wealth. There's 4 forms of incorporations. You have the LLC, the LP, the S corporation, C corporation. C corporation has about 375 tax deductions, 350, and an S corporation has about 175, okay? When you work with somebody in our community like Warren or Gary or Wendy, they'll go through and help you completely structure what's the best tax liability and asset protection structure for you. My laundromat is in an LP because I have a partner with it, and we have it also held in an S Corp. I also have a C Corp. I have over 12 entities. Each piece of real estate I buy, I put into an LLC. So I have total asset protection. Now the LLC is responsible for that house, not me. Somebody slips and falls, they go after the LLC, not me. Like, see, the worst thing you could do is make money associated to your Social Security number, because then the IRS always knows about it. You want an EIN number so it's not attached to your Social Security number. When money's attached to your Social Security number, you're going to pay taxes. And those taxes are completely outside your control. When you have a corporation, it's a totally different story. I'll give you an example. Warren is our CPA in our community. And before I met Warren, I was a sole proprietor. I'm a recovering sole proprietor person now. Okay? $67,000 in taxes. Ouch. I met Warren. He went back and he said, you know, A, you don't have to pay this much. I've already saved you $10,000 just by looking at your real estate because he missed the appreciation. But he also put up 5 red flags to the IRS by handwriting on the forms, which I would never do. So he's already saved me money. He's already seen what went wrong. And he says, we need to get you into an entity. If you would have put this into an entity last year, you would have paid less than $10,000. So we're going to forecast you out every month based upon what you made last month, so we know every quarter when we meet how much money you're going to owe and what money do you need to spend. So come October of last year, he calls me up and says, okay, so you know you're up to the $30,000 to $40,000 tax range again. He says, we need to start making some decisions. Let's move some money to gas and oil. Let's buy another piece of real estate. In December, don't accept any money. Wait till January of next year so we don't record it. So I went from $60,000+ in taxes to $1,600 the following year, and I doubled my company's income because of tax deductions. You have a child, that's $4,200 a year. I'm going to show you Logan here in a second, but that's how powerful it is. Remember how I said the wealthy are playing a completely different tax game? Here's how the poor work. They earn, they tax, they spend their money. Then you get what's left over. Leftovers. The wealthy do it the opposite way. They earn money, they spend it, they get taxed on what's left, which is a completely big distinction. Because as money comes in, that's the wealth cycles. The wealth cycles is on the right. You earn it, you get the money out, you get taxed on what's left. See, if I ever run into a tax situation with one of my companies, here's what I'll do. I'll take another company or a partner's company, and they'll start invoicing me. Now I just created tax deductions. But work has to be done. We have to be able to prove it. We always play by the rules. Okay? Another thing that I'll do is if I start getting too much money into one corporation, I'll create a second corporation, let the money go through there. So I've just diversified my taxes. Okay? So the wealthy are playing a completely different game because of tax strategies. So there's Logan. That's Laurel's 6-year-old son playing with his piggy bank. Okay? Logan is 6 years old. He owns 12 pieces of real estate. Yeah. Wouldn't you love to be 6 again? He's a brilliant kid. He's one of my partners in one of my laundromats. Okay? We just got our third one 3 weeks ago. We went in to change the machines. He made sure that we put his name on his 6 machines that he has. Okay? He's learning how to negotiate. He uses his IRA. He actually used his IRA to fund part of the laundromat. And when that laundromat sells, the money he makes from his IRA goes back into his IRA, so he'll be retired by the time he's 18. Millionaire babies. Okay? We never put money into our IRA because we get our IRA to work for us. We use it to buy real estate. So Logan and I and Laurel are in the laundromat because all 3 of us are partners. Right? I told you earlier that I didn't use any of my own money to buy a couple of the laundromats I owned. I used other people's money in our community. We have such an open book in the community. There's so much trust and integrity. We always play by the rules. We always know what's going on in your life. You always know what's going on in mine. That way we can help each other faster. If I know you want real estate or I know you want laundromats, I'm going to send you that information. Every week I'll get a deal coming to me because my community knows what I want. Like the more people you have enrolled into your success, the faster you're going to get there. True? Absolutely. So we picked up this laundromat. He puts the key in, he pulls out all the coins, he puts them into the bag, and I think his first 6 rows did like $125 in quarters. Now, mind you, he doesn't see that there's expenses involved yet. He's 6 years old. So we go to the second row, and the second row of these were top-load washers belonged to Laurel. And we pulled out the coin machine, and it's just loaded. Much more than his. And he goes, that's so not fair. And I said, well, we don't always get all this money. There are expenses associated to it. He goes, what's that? And I said, well, we have to pay other people and the bills. He goes, well, let's use Mommy's side of the machines. I said, you can go negotiate that with your mother. So he used his IRA. You've all heard OPM, other people's money. Okay, we also have OPI, other people's IRAs that we'll invest with. You make money much faster that way. But this is asset acceleration. every investment we do starts at a minimum of 12%. We have a 12% preferred note that's held inside of Live Out Loud. Okay? So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Leadership. Now, you may be listening to all of this thinking, well, I need a cash machine. I need to get off my lazy ass. I need a team. I need to know what my skill sets are. How do I market? How do I sell? You don't have to do it all, and you won't. The more people you have committed on your team to you being successful, the faster you're going to get there. Remember earlier I told you, I'll never be an accountant, but I got a great one on my team. Okay? There's certain things that you won't be great at that you have to have team for. But here's the biggest thing that I see happening since we've been a child. In school, we had to raise our hands to do what? Yeah, to go to the bathroom. We had to raise our hands to do just about everything. We had to get permission. And millionaires give themselves permission. They don't ask for permission. They take permission. They give themselves permission to be awesome people. So we're not just talking about money here. We're talking about how do you be a better, bigger, better, more powerful person and lead your life. Because I can tell you, I know a lot of millionaires who have no clue. Like, I would not want them on the team. I don't even know how they made so much money. And then I met people who have very little money who are the most brilliant people I've ever met. You don't need to be intelligent to be a millionaire. You just have to have the right team and the right plan. You'll become the expert later. Like, you're a better parent now than you were before you had kids, right? Okay, yes would be the right answer. Okay. Good. All right, good. That's how that works. You've got to lead it. You don't have to know everything. You won't. There's not enough time in the world for you to know everything. But you leverage your expertise with your team. Okay? Who's on your team? So, you got to get your life supported. For those of you cleaning your house, fire yourself. Find somebody else to do it. There's other people on this planet who have the dream of cleaning other people's homes. Let them live their dream. Okay? The person who cleans my house absolutely loves it. Personal assistant, bookkeeper, and tax strategist. Those should be on your list. You can interview them. You can go through our community because they've already been interviewed through our programs. They know exactly how we do it and why. But go out and make these changes so you free up time for your cash machine. Okay? Because next year, if you don't make that decision, you're still only going to have 24 hours in a day. The moment you make that decision, you've just created time. So what I want to do now is I want to bring somebody up that came up to me earlier, and we talked about his assets, and I said, I'm going to do a makeover in front of the room with you. So here's what we did with him, just real quickly. He has about $400,000 in assets. We took $300,000. We diversified that through 5 different realms. Okay, and we got him up to $6,700 a month net cash flow, which completely replaced his expenses. Is that good? Now he doesn't have to work to pay his bills. His bills are paid for. So his $11,000 a month income is now all income. Now he can go invest that. We can take that $11,000 a month, go to Pennsylvania or Louisiana or Arkansas and buy houses for $50,000, $60,000, turn them around, and be making $250, $350 a month in passive income, cash flow. That's how fast it can happen. You have to have access to it. So in the book, there's what's called the Leonard family. And I'm not going to go through it in the sake of time, but what happened in the book is Laurel got challenged by a TV director. And the woman said, Laurel, I've called 5 other people and said, I want to pick one person in America and I want you to make them wealthy. And those other 5 coaches or trainers or teachers all said, no, it can't be done. And Laurel said it absolutely can be done. So she literally took a family she never met and in 3 months created, well, let's see. $7,620 net cash flow. This is somebody who was a receptionist and a mechanic. She flew to Louisiana, bought 10 homes in the first 90 days, earning $200 a month. Replaced her income so she could quit her job. She didn't, but now she has the choice. They built a cash machine that's producing $100,000 a year. He's a mechanic. He built sand dune cars. He turned that hobby into a business. Now he's making money. So what she's done is she's taking any novice who'd never bought in real estate before, who doesn't have the psychology or the skill sets, and put them at $7,000 a month within the first 9 months of coaching them. Good or good? Absolutely.
I came down with a lack of clarity, wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Through the different speakers, one of the things that I really gained is I'm taking responsibility, and my confidence level is back up just from this weekend. Surrounding yourself with millionaire makers and millionaire minds is going to help you to grow. So I would encourage you to come to this, and my personal testimony is that I will be taking my business to a whole new level, and you'll see me on the stage at the top because of what I've gained here this weekend. Thank you.